Hello, everybody. This is Tito Bort, CEO at AltiSales, and I am really excited today to have Garrett Sadler from Ambition join us for another SDR Superstar Series. How are you, man?
What's up, Tito? How's it going, man?
Good, doing great, man. I'm super excited about this conversation, and the main reason is I was actually shocked by your approach when I learned what you were doing and how strategic you were in leveraging social. And I even found out you had used some of my posts for your own sales development lead generation. That kind of blew my mind, and I thought, why the hell aren't my SDRs using a similar strategy? This is genius. So we're gonna dive, obviously, as part of this, podcast, webinar, wherever you're watching this, deeper into your strategies. We're gonna make them really tangible. We're gonna allow people to, gain some insights into how you're doing things, why you're doing them that way. So yeah, man. First of all, thanks for all the awesome work, and I'm excited to have you.
Cool. Excited to be here. Excited to share.
Awesome. One of the things that I like doing for the audience is providing some context, because if SDRs have $1 million deal or a 10K deal, $10,000 annual recurring revenue deal, the strategies are different. So why don't we start first with learning just really quickly in a few sentences, what is Ambition and who's your ideal customer profile, kind of like what's the average deal size? Give us some context regarding the scope of your work.
Yeah, would love to. So Ambition is a metric-driven gamification and sales coaching platform. In short, we make the daily grind of sales fun and competitive. Target market ranges between logistics companies, computer software companies. What we're really looking for are activity-driven teams. So teams that focus on the metrics and are tracking those already in Salesforce. What we do is pull that information out and make it fun.
Okay.
Average deal size is, again, ranges. Our model is per seat price, so per seat per month. Ranges anywhere from 20K, to six-figure deals.
Okay, excellent, good stuff. So let's say mostly mid-market, and then you know your market there. And when it comes to your work on a daily basis, are you mostly doing inbound leads or outbound leads? What's your split there?
Yeah, so I'm full outbound. Started inbound, transitioned to outbound, and have been doing that for about a year now.
Okay, so you're reaching out to people who've never heard of you, or very, very likely have never heard of you. You're going to them rather than them coming to you. How does your company measure you? Things I've heard are like kind of just meetings set, or meetings occurred, or pipeline created, revenue closed. What is it for you?
Yeah, so like I said, I work for a company that our whole business model is to track and measure performance and make that fun. So what we're tracking and measuring on a monthly basis is meeting set, meeting held, and pipeline created.
Okay, cool stuff. And I assume you have all these fun dashboards on TVs and websites, that you can pull up. So definitely makes the job fun. I remember being an SDR back in the day, not having all my data, which sucks. So you guys are definitely a great company to work with when people just need better visibility. I know a bunch of your clients, so that's awesome. And you've been a top performer. I mean, you were talking a little bit about just being usually at over 100% of quota, sometimes around 120 or even more. So what I want to do is a little bit dissect your like secret sauce, because I found that fascinating. The question I tend to ask people is, where are most of your meetings coming from? Are you mostly getting them from email, from phone, from social, snail mail, video? What do you do? How like kind of like what's your split? What's your combination of those tools?
Yeah, so I mostly play the social game. I love LinkedIn. It's a huge resource for me. And so the majority of my meetings are going to come from LinkedIn social. Obviously I'm still doing straight up cold calls, and those are converting too, but my secret sauce is definitely LinkedIn.
Okay, great. So LinkedIn, when I think about my experience being prospected on LinkedIn, I can just think of like all these people that I hate that send me some like automated bot that says, "Hi Tito, I see we both work in similar industries. Would you like to connect?" And I like despise him so much. I want to kill him.
Yeah.
What How are you being different? Are you still using like a bot on LinkedIn to go spam the hell out of people? That's how you're getting meetings? Or tell us more.
Yeah, so I'm glad you asked. When I say that LinkedIn and social is my secret sauce, I actually revert to LinkedIn and social as my very last channel of actual outreach. So what I'm doing is I follow and have a network of sales leaders like yourself, Tito, just a huge advocate for SDRs. You've got a big name for yourself for the SDR and sales community. So what I do is I would just take a post from yourself and prospect out of those likes and comments, and just kind of go from there. So no, I'm not hitting people in the DMs or messaging people on LinkedIn. I kind of, like I said, I revert to that as like a last option.
Okay, so run me through this. If you don't mind, like sharing screens. We were looking at a post that you found from me that somewhat aligned with what your company does.
Yeah.
How'd you find that post? How'd you create, the outreach? Like,
Yeah.
why'd you
So
say
let me
what you
share my
said?
screen here. Let's see. So what I did here, Tito, is pretty simple. I was on LinkedIn. I saw a post from yourself, this post to be exact, talking about rep accountability, and also talking about how sales leaders should take an approach of being coaches versus managers. Well, the company I work for, again, Ambition, is a rep accountability, gamification, metric-driven tool. So we have these insights and provide coaching, provide real-time KPI insights to keep reps accountable. So I saw this post about a month ago and thought, holy smokes, this is, aligns perfectly with what Ambition does. It's very relevant to Ambition. So from here, it's nothing crazy, right? What I'll do is I'll scroll down and just click straight into those likes. It is time consuming, but worth it. And so I'll go through the likes and the comments and prospect straight from those people. Obviously not prospecting all of those likes and comments, as some of their personas are not relevant to who I'm looking to speak with. But for any sales leader, sales ops, SDR manager, I'll go to their profile and pretty much pull their information out, and then I'll drop them into a sequence. I call them a one-off sequence that I would create for your post. So it's highly automated, doesn't take too much personalization on the back end. I'm pretty much just going to personalize and craft 2 or 3 emails specific to your post on the front end and automate those. And yeah, just let them run, drop my prospects in, and here we are.
Wait a second, this is genius. So one of the things that I see outbound reps do, a lot of, and even, I'm in the SDR outsourcing world here at Alti Sales, but a lot of my competitors do a lot of spray and pray. Kind of like they'll grab a huge list of like VPs of sales and they'll like email blast the hell out of people or auto dial them on a dialer without any context, and they're going cold. But what you're doing, you're doing what I would call warm outbound. Like you're figuring out a way where they're already engaging, and it doesn't even need to be ambition content. Like some other people say, I'm calling the people who attended a webinar or who came to a trade show or who whatever else, like they interacted with my company's assets, meaning we wrote a blog post about X and somebody came and visited that blog post and spent a lot of time. So we know their IP address, we can figure out who that was, and then we're going to try to reach out to them. But you're going way above and beyond that. You're saying anybody who's interacting with content that's relevant to me, and hey, LinkedIn allows me to see exactly who's liked and commented on Tito's post. He's posted something about rep accountability. That's what we do. You just can go in there, click on the post, get all the likes, all the comments, and then, well, you gotta find their data though. You don't even have their email address. Where do you find that?
Right. So thankfully we use Zoom Info as a tool right now. And we use a couple other prospecting tools, but mostly Zoom Info.
Okay, so you just like find the people, open up all their LinkedIn profiles, figure out if they're the right personas, then go on Zoom Info, find their email address, and you start throwing all those people into a sequence.
Yep.
Where in the sequence it's saying Tito Port. So because I liked that post, or well, because this person liked that post, they know Tito. You're
Yep.
even linking to the post, and if they click on it, it'll show them they liked it. And now it just feels like hyper personalized. It feels like you're coming after me, and I happen to like the post, and you happen to notice, and you happen to build this, but truly you're just emailing the
Exactly.
765 people there.
Yeah, exactly.
Man, that's cool, because you write one email for 765 people or whatever. Adding the comments might be 800.
Yeah.
Okay, cool, really cool. And then, how persistent are you with this? Because some some people will be like, "Wow, this is awesome! Like, so cool that you found me this way." Other people might be like, "So intrusive, right? Like, you're following me too much. Like, what a stalker," or whatever
Yeah.
else, right? So, do you email them a lot? Do you call them a lot? Like,
No, so I kind of keep it pretty low, pretty soft. Like I said, I don't bother people on LinkedIn much. I'll start off with an email, hit them with a secondary email pretty quickly, and then after that, it's just very slow, not trying to be super intrusive. Um, Most of the time, people are really impressed with the fact that, like you said, people think that you went to their profile specifically, that you search through all their activity to find something relevant to your product. And so most people appreciate that. I have had a few that are like, man, that's pretty weird that you looked through 2 months of my activity history to reach out to me. But very rarely do people think that it's like intrusive or weird.
okay. And then, how do you decide? I mean, in this case, it was funny. I stumbled upon you doing this for one of my posts, which I don't mind at all. Like, if it works for you, cool stuff, right? But how how many leaders do you follow? How do you decide who to follow? How do you know who's going to be posting something? Because, like, I'm thinking, if I'm a leader that sells to anything other than sales, my the engagement on LinkedIn is not going to be high. Well, I guess HR and salespeople have a lot of LinkedIn engagement. But if I sell to marketing, how do I know which? Like, I don't know. How'd you do that?
Yeah, good question. It's really a time thing here. I've been pretty consistently on LinkedIn day in and day out for a couple of years now. So just expanding my network in my industry is what's super helpful for me. Obviously someone couldn't create a LinkedIn profile tomorrow and go have success with this. This is more of like, an actual building a network and utilizing that network to your advantage, which is what I've kind of done. But it takes some time. It takes time to follow sales leaders and to see, who people react to and who's posting often and who's posting content that, I agree with and that I follow. So yeah, it just takes some time.
Yeah. And then it must take you a few hours. I mean, 800 people, I don't know. Like, I don't even think you can do 100 an hour. You can do maybe 30 an hour. Like, it
You're
takes you like
exactly right.
3 days to find all the contact info for all these leads on who's found it. But then it might take you like an hour to build a sequence. I assume you have a
Yep.
semi-canned sequence, given that it's all LinkedIn posts and whatever else. And then you're off to the races, and you can, with 800 people, you can prospect them for like you said, like maybe 2 months, even on one LinkedIn post. So
Yeah, you nailed it. So I'm thankful to have a manager that kind of gives me creative freedom to work the channels that convert and, think outside the box and do things like this. I'm still held accountable to a daily amount of calls and emails, to hitting target accounts, but I will spend, 2 to 3 hours a day sometimes. There are some days where I'm busier and can't focus on it, but yeah, you're right. I can take a post that has 1,000 likes and I can grab 20 to 30 prospects from that a day. And, that could last me a month. And yeah, it takes an hour to write the first, couple emails of the sequence. The rest is automated. So yeah, it's time consuming, but it's also sustainable. Your post took me 2 weeks to prospect through.
right, and the genius part is as follows, right? If I'm a leader who I have liked a post that says you got to measure and analyze and coach, and I don't currently have a tool for that, but I've liked the post.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not expressing explicit interest to go buy a tool, but at least I'm going to be open to the idea of looking into something, because my mindset aligns with what you guys do, right? And maybe I think this was Simon Sinek who says people don't buy what you do, people buy why you do it, right? And if I'm aligned on the why, on the we got to measure, analyze, and improve and coach and train, then ambition becomes a really cool thing to prospect. Now, let's, we've analyzed your secret sauce. We're understanding your workflow now, but help me understand here, because other people are going to run into problems. Like, you can't control who's going to like or comment on that post. Like, can you prospect anybody and everybody across the country? Like, does your company really let you do that? Or do you have a territory? Like, how's that all set up?
Yeah. So I'm Northwest, mostly focusing on Northwest and global. I do international too. So we are territory based. So it's actually kind of a cool thing that I'll do for my counterpart. I will write the emails. He can clone them from a sequence, and then pretty much I'll prospect through these likes and comments. If they're not in my territory, it's just as easy for me to grab that URL, Slack it to him, say, here you go, man, throw this in your sequence, as it is for me to hit the backspace and not touch them. So pretty much everyone is getting touched that's relevant to those posts. However, I have to stay with the ones in my territory, but I'll pass the ones that are not in my territory to my counterpart.
Yeah, that's nice. It's kind of funny because truly, obviously you're going to get a bunch of meetings, but like you're such a, I'd say you're almost the company's quarterback when you start doing that, right? Like, yes, maybe the wide receiver will score and share points for them, but you're really throwing a really good pass to them by writing the sequence, analyzing the post, grabbing all the people, sending them all that. So I think your work has a compounding effect of results for the whole company, for which you might not be even compensated for, but you have that team player type of thing. And I don't know, if your career path is to go into management and helping people out, I think you're, positioning yourself in a really good situation. And probably your managers understand that the value you bring to the company is beyond just the meetings that you set, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I love to, help my guys out, help my team out. At the end of the day, my goal is to set meetings, but the ultimate goal is to grow ambition and see success in this company. So, if I can pass a post or a profile of one of my counterparts and it help convert for them, I'm all for that every day.
Yeah. The other thing that you mentioned when we were talking before is if somebody doesn't respond to these like emails and calls, sometimes you do a little bit of social touch, meaning you might send them a LinkedIn connect request or a LinkedIn message. But then even if they don't respond to any of that, you'll throw them into nurtures. So you really don't give up. So tell us more. How many steps does your initial sequence have? Your nurture 1, nurture 2, and it seems like you have even a newsletter after that. So
So like I said, I don't want to overwhelm my prospects on this first sequence that's relating to your post. So it's 16 steps. It's 8 emails, 7 calls, and then at the very end, I have a general task that basically holds my prospects so that I can move them into another sequence without losing them.
Right.
So after someone makes it through an entire sequence of what I call my LinkedIn one-off campaign, just like a one-off email about Tito, for example, I've got 3 different nurture sequences that I'll do. All of them ranging from nurture 1, which is going to be, maybe 1 email a week, might call them a couple times a week, nothing too crazy. I don't want to overwhelm them. And then I'm going to kind of decrease the touches as I go on to nurture 2 and nurture 3. So eventually I get to the point where I'm like, okay, these people definitely are not interested. I've sent them all the content that I could that I feel would be relevant. But yeah, so I'll do the initial sequence, and then I've got 3 nurture campaigns after that. They're kind of like tiers, tier 1, 2, and 3. Just as I progress, the touches get less and less, and more of like, hey, let me be a resource for you. Let's stay in touch. Let's stay connected type of thing.
Right. That's awesome. It seems like you're not letting whatever marketing or anybody else kind of like take ownership of these. You really want to stay on top of your game and you just go above and beyond just, my sequence. So I've seen different SDRs do different things, right? Some people just show up and they're like, yeah, my job is just to make dials. I don't care. Like, I'll just follow the script. I won't take ownership. And then there's the other side of the spectrum, which is not only will I dial, but I'll research, I'll pass over opportunities to my peers. I'll, build follow-up sequences with interesting articles and all that. So, man, it shows. Like when you put the effort and you do great stuff, it shows, and it shows in the results. Just hitting quota consistently. So that's awesome. Let's talk a little bit more about kind of like some of the tools that you use. Obviously, you're doing a lot of social. So are you on LinkedIn Sales Nav? What data tools, cadence tools? You showed outreach a little bit. So tell us more about that.
Yeah, so our tech stack is Salesforce, Outreach, Zoom Info, LinkedIn Sales Nav.
Okay, pretty standard.
Yeah.
A lot of people on that. And then, I usually ask about accounts and leads. So you have a territory. You mentioned that. And then you're going on LinkedIn and picking the people. So that explains kind of like how you manage the territory. Have you built yourself any cold calling scripts or like email templates? How much do you recycle those email templates versus like trying to build something from scratch or like following other leaders and learning how to build emails?
Yeah, so this is kind of a fun part of my job at Ambition. I was the first SDR officially at Ambition in-house. And so I had a lot of creative freedom when it came to the approaches we were going to take, what was working, what was clearly not working. So we do have available email templates, call scripts. At this point, I've been an SDR at Ambition for 1.5 years. So it's kind of ingrained in my process already. I'm not necessarily memorizing scripts, but they're definitely available. But yeah, it's been fun to kind of be able to think outside the box, test things on my own, and just see what works and what doesn't work, and kind of run with the things that are working.
Yeah. Do you constantly A/B test your email templates as well, like your different sorts of bumps or whatever other stuff you're throwing in there?
Yeah, it's a continuous process. For me, I'm always trying to think of what other people might not be doing, or trying to see trends in how subject lines are working, or email bumps one day as opposed to 2 short words, or long follow-up emails. Constantly testing, trying to figure out what's working best, and obviously communicating with my team also. We work very closely together with strategy, and are just always trying to improve our email templates, and kind of just use what's best, and then try to find something that can beat that. If it doesn't, so be it. We live and we learn. If it does, then we've got something else to beat at that point.
Yeah, that's awesome. Couple extra questions as I want to understand kind of like how you got to where you are. So where did you learn all the skills to be a top performer? Like, how'd you come up with this strategy of like, I'm gonna go click on the likes and email people and see if that works? That sounds so out of the ordinary.
Yeah, and it is. I don't want to say, well, I will say, in school they teach you how things are supposed to be done, and how the sales world is, and kind of that's all kind of falling on the back end, and we're having to figure out new ways to be successful. And so like I said, I was the first SDR at Ambition. Pretty much I was asked to prove the concept of bringing the SDR team in-house versus outsourcing that team, and I just loved that opportunity. And so I started thinking of ways to be creative, and thinking outside of the box. And to be honest, I can't remember, when the flip switched, or, when the switch flipped. I can't remember a specific day or month or whatever, but I do just know that eventually I thought, hey, it would be a great idea to find sales leaders who are notable, who people follow, who people respect and listen to. And then rather than me pitch a totally foreign idea to people, let me just use what these sales leaders are saying, because I don't have as much recognition as these people do. Let me just leverage that information to my advantage. And so that's what I did.
That's awesome, man. Very, very creative, very out of the box. And for those of you listening again, this series is created on the basis of that. Let's find people who are innovating on, doing direct mail, doing like video, doing like how they organize their day, how they prospect, how they find leads, how they whatever else. So there's a bunch of different strategies people can try out for themselves. Last couple of things, man. I mean, you work for a company that has cool dashboards and things like that. Tell us a little bit more about some of your favorite incentives or spiffs or any cool things you guys do given the culture of the company.
Yeah, so we just place a huge importance on having fun and working hard, obviously, but we play hard too. Last month, one of our incentives was to go to Six Flags, Georgia. We've done a team, like entire company, going skydiving if the sales team hits our quota. We do some weekly spiffs like Amazon cards or, off early on Fridays or whatever the case. But we do use our tool to just kind of keep things fun. We do a fantasy football style competition where we can match SDR versus SDR, or we can even go further with that and match an SDR versus an AE. That's kind of in the weeds of our product and how our scorecards work and how we can even match those two together. But definitely we have a lot of fun with spiffs and just making the workplace fun.
That sounds awesome, man. This has been a lot of fun in dissecting your strategy and understanding how you're working and how you came up with the ideas. Any other things that you'd like to share that I forgot to ask regarding the company or the work or anything else?
Man, just thanks for having me. This is an awesome opportunity, and I hope it's helpful. I love your SDR Superstar series. Totally looking forward to that, continuing to grow and learning from that. I would suggest anybody new to the game or anybody just wanting to kind of be different from your peers to check these things out. They're super beneficial. You can never know too many tips and tricks. So, that's all I've got.
Yeah, awesome stuff, man. Like you said, I love just talking to SDRs who are thinking out of the box. And I think that the best ideas come from the front lines. I remember, I started as an SDR myself, and I was, performing much better than my peers, and I knew exactly what I was doing. And sometimes even my boss wouldn't listen to me. I was like, hey, I have an idea for how to make this better. They're like, you're an SDR, go work. I'm like,
Yeah.
You are so crazy for not listening to me, and you're going to regret it. So that's why I built this platform and, posted it all out there. And believe it or not, I learn a lot. That's why me as a CEO, I'm here interviewing people because I'm going to grab what you mentioned about your strategy today, implement it internally, go try to figure out, for which of our clients can we start doing a little bit of this here and there. And we even have some systems in place. I mean, I have a whole team of data researchers that I can go send them LinkedIn posts, and they're going to go, scrape off all the emails and phone numbers and all that, and put them in a sequence. So yeah, man, thanks for sharing the knowledge. If people want to connect with you, Garrett Sadler on LinkedIn, and works for Ambition. He'll be around there. Any other ways to get in touch with you, or should people message you there or not?
Yeah, of course. LinkedIn is Garrett Sadler. Email address is on my LinkedIn. Cell phone number is also on my LinkedIn. I'm happy to be a resource for anybody that just wants to connect, stay in touch, learn more about each other and about our businesses. Love networking and would love to connect with any of you guys.
Yeah, and for everybody else listening, if you want to see more of these SDR Superstar series, find me on LinkedIn at Tito Bort. I always put a LinkedIn post with a description and minute-by-minute breakdown of what are the topics we're talking about during these interviews. And then I also will post it on a podcast as well as YouTube, so it's all over the place. And always trying to put out good content for everybody. So thanks everybody for listening, and thanks Garrett for being part of the show.
Thanks, Tito. Have a good one.